Yeah, I thought we don't need a whole one. I'll save you from this.
We're all set? Everyone happy? Yeah. Right, welcome everyone along to our final meeting for the year. A call for apologies. Apologies, and I know speaks in the platform. So I'd just like the people attending to stand for a moment for the death of Maniototo resident Shirley Ponton. Thank you very much. Can I have someone please move the minutes of the previous meeting as a true and correct record, please? Thank you, Hal. Stuart Duncan, all those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried, thank you. My members, if they feel they have a conflict of interest any time during the proceedings, to say so. Janice. Janice. Yeah. Has everyone actually read about the Wedderburn Hall? Have you actually read the? Yeah. Is there anything in there? Oh, what? Joe, have you got any concerns in there about anything?
No, just thought I know if it's 20 hectares in there. 20 hectares is a big space.
50 acres.
An additional note, Wedderburn Reserve, the reserve excluding the Wedderburn Hall land sits on a total area of 20.2 hectares. So
This sort of stuff outside the trees must be.
this is private land because it's just been sold. So look, it'll be 2.02 hectares.
Yeah, oh, it comes up. Acres there.
20 hectares.
That's right.
50 acres.
Yeah, what size is it actually?
All six.
Was a tennis court beside it that we, grey brown patch. It's double tennis courts, isn't it?
Okay. Afternoon.
Hey, Wedderburn Hall. So as you will see, there has been an offer from the Wedderburn Tavern proprietor to purchase the Wedderburn Hall. If you look on page 14, you'll see the little diagram of the aerial. So the Wedderburn Hall sits on section 13 and it has a different legal status to the rest of the Wedderburn Reserve. The legal status is really clear. It's Crown derived and it's subject to the Ngātahu Claims Settlement Act. So because of that, it's not vested in council and so we technically don't own it. So as far as the offer to purchase the hall and the land it's sitting on, that's something we cannot do. So she cannot purchase the hall and we cannot agree to sell it to her. So in all the options, you'll see the options start with that we can't sell her the hall, and we will go back and explain to her again why it can't be purchased by her. Although her reason for wanting to purchase the hall is a sound, nice reason. So I've gone into a bit of detail about the current management of the hall. It's sat unused for quite some time, but the community out at Wedderburn has changed now, and so they are starting to use the hall, but they're also starting to do a little bit of tidying up work around the hall. The Wedderburn community has stood up again, the Wedderburn Community Association, and so I think before any decisions are made about the hall that we need to have a conversation with the Wedderburn Community Association about the hall and what's included, some of the issues with the hall which have been listed on page 16. So that there's quite a few issues with the hall. So the rest, if we look at the rest of the land, there is an opportunity for council to get free and simple title for the rest of the reserve there. Now that would mean when we get free and simple title, that we then could revoke the reservation status on it, and then it becomes councils to do with what they choose. They could forestation's been looked into, but the Wedderburn Hall Association is also looking to that they might like to put it in looser and to raise funds off it. Those things are still all up in the air, and until we have a really good conversation with the Wedderburn Community Association, those things can't be determined at this point in time. So the reserve is included in the Maniototo Ward Reserve Management Plan, but that just picks up on the removal of the pine tree shelter belts, medium to long, council medium term. You could look at a licence to occupy with the adjoining landowner and to get it raised as well. That's an option in the management.
And here it says 20 hectares. Are you sure it's not 2.47 hectares?
No, it's 20 hectares. That lot is 20 hectares according to our records. That whole reserve, excluding the hall, 20 hectares.
Well, that's 50 acres. That's 50 acres. That's,
The only other thing is the Wedderburn Reserve may have had land up the West Union Road and other land and they've been put into one title.
Well,
There's not 20 hectares in that area of land.
nothing like
okay.
Or
I'll look
5
at
acres.
Well, it only 5 acres,
Yeah.
through 2
that.
hectares,
If that,
2 hectares.
I'll look at our title for that.
And if it is, it's, yeah, like it'd be interesting to know because it's not, and it may have been accumulated somewhere else. Well,
Okay. I'll check that out.
it could be just the point missing would be about right size, 2.08,
Right.
2.2,
Okay.
2 points. I'm on page,
I can check that out.
page 16, the size.
Okay. So there's various options listed. Do we need to go through those here?
I think we've all read them.
Right. Are you happy with the recommendation?
Right.
I mean, I went to their working bee, they had a discussion with them, they've taken emails of everyone. They're going to have a AGM in April.
Mhm.
They've had a special meeting to start it up. The interest is, Vic hasn't stated here that they want to look at doing the ground for hay to do that sort of stuff. There's a lot has changed. There's a lot of young ones and wee kiddies now, so even using it as an area. And you know, so there's a lot more enthusiasm for it, and people who you don't normally see in our community, like Bob Rains and those ones that we never hardly see. But that's it. Otherwise, it's quite simple, really.
What about all the trees on it, Janice? We've talked about them coming down over the years. When are we going to put that? Is that in this plan that you're talking about, or we?
I'll have to check with Parks and Reserves because that sits under their remit.
Did you look at it with the?
Yeah,
So
and
you thought there was a lot of good timber in there, did he?
yeah, and I think you'll find when that group gets together, the appetite to cut them down will be less than it used to be.
Yeah.
But that's something they can have that discussion. I know there's.
It's trees along the road, correct me if
That-
I'm wrong,
that-
that are by the power line,
Yeah.
that are
They
the
need to
biggest
be down.
issue.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that,
Johnny Dowling was quite keen for more to come down, I think, because they're all falling in his paddocks.
yeah, and I think the other side of Johnny Downing's family, the young ones are keen for them to stay. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I
Oh, right.
mean, Liam and all those ones, and the young ones and Herb and Nicole, they're quite keen to keep the trees there. But that's something they can have that
so
discussion.
that could be a
That
discussion
when they,
as well when we talk to the community.
Or they get dropped or something, aren't they?
yeah, well, that may be. And then the other side of these is I've had discussions with Walter Adamson, who has had a gentleman's agreement to keep it tidy around there with sheep.
Oh, yeah.
And he's quite happy to relinquish that for them to put them to loose or whatever I'll do. So they're well underway in their chat, as it were. So really only recommendation option 1, is it?
Option 1?
Yep.
So, still going to move that we adopt option 1, is it, Janice? Let's make sure I got the right one.
Yes,
Find the purchase of the hall, give them leave status, engage communities, the community association.
it's actually the community of interest, Stu, because it could be ones outside of the community association that would like to be.
Yeah.
So it would be the community of interest.
Right, so Stu's moved to come and move it, please. Duncan Hill, all those in favour? Aye, against, carried, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Janice. Donna, how are you?
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
So take the paper as being read. The financial report as at the 30th of September has an overall unfavourable variance of $1,000. The total income has an unfavourable variance of $19,000. Most of this, unfortunately, comes through as a rates variance, but it's an internal journal error that we found at the last minute. So we'll correct this going forward, and it will balance out. So internal interest revenue on your surplus reserves is higher than budget. This is due to increased market interest rates on our term deposits. Total expenditure has a favourable variance of $18,000, with your other costs, contracts and staff budgets being lower than budget. Professional fees has an unfavourable variance, and this is due to the fire engineering, accessibility and concept strengthening projects that have been carried out on some of the buildings in the district. These are being funded by the Better Off funding received from the DIA. Capital expenditure has a favourable variance of $25,000. The work programs are being prepared and are in the planning stage. So I think the only project that's being done is the pool covers at the Ranfurly Pool in preparation for the start of the season. And we are working through the carry forwards on the capital works program from last year to bring through into this financial year. So we'll have that hopefully with you. Are there any questions?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
One question, Better Off funding, now we've had a change of the Three Waters component of it, does that change as well, or is that committed to? It stays there?
Well, that's interesting, and that will need to be determined because the government have obviously put stop work notice on all Three Waters. One would like to think that they will continue to honour the Better Off funding, but we'll have to wait and see.
But do you think they'll actually, Three Waters will just get at the major work they were going to do will go?
They said within the first 100 days they're going to repeal the legislation, which leaves it in the status quo,
Okay.
which council owns it.
Yep. Council
has to maintain it. Ratepayers have the funding.
Yes, we don't get any choice in what has to be done and what doesn't. The government, the overriding body will still be in power. Or are you going to get rid of that too?
No, Parramatta Arawai will remain. National have signed up for that. They've said that they will put in an economic regulator as part of the Commerce Commission to regulate pricing, potentially to keep an eye on. But at the end of the day, the bow wave of costs that all councils are seeing in the Three Waters, everyone thought we were going to shunt it off our books in 2 years' time. That cost is going to be shared at home to council. And the regulator, Parramatta Arawai, is remaining. And they're the ones who are flexing their muscle. I saw today in the paper that declined Christchurch's request for chlorination. So they're going to have to put chlorine in for their water, and that's quite a significant cost.
So is there a chance that they become the funder as well as the regulator?
No, Parramatta Arawai would not become the funder. What the government have said loosely, and this all has to be done through, and they have to work, come up with some policies, is that under their policy, if councils can't afford to pay for their water, then they may look at some other entity to be able to loan them funding. And currently we get our loan funding, councils get loan funding from the local government funding agencies, which we all belong to. And that's where we get our money from when we go to the bank. Now, could they open that up to Three Waters? Possibly, but they, it's, there's a whole
limit on that funding too, is it?
The limit is on our debt, so you can't have. Now this council doesn't have a what do you call it? A bloody Standard & Poor's credit rating. So which means that you can only, our debt limits is 175% of our revenue. So roughly, if our revenue is like 73 million, then our debt is 175% of that, and that's the maximum we could go.
which most councils in New Zealand are at that level now.
Those two, and if you have a credit rating, then you can go to 285. So Queenstown has a credit rating, that's in that 300%. So they're over their ratio. Basically, they couldn't get any more loan funding.
So when, and this is what I struggle with, when do the works have to be started or completed by, and what if you can't afford it and you don't do it? Who then becomes a big daddy with a stick?
Well, the regulator, but the regulator has already told us we have to fix up Cromwell, what were the other two?
Naseby Greenwood.
Yeah, there's three that we have to put a membrane on in terms of the protozoa thing, and we've got until the end of next year to do two, and we've got the end of 2025 to do the one in Cromwell. So they've told us you have to do that, so we have to do that. We can afford to do those ones, but it'll come at the cost of other things in the water space. But, and they've also said by 2045, you will not be able to discharge treated wastewater into any river, stream or water body, which then means that for this council, we will have to shift all those wastewater systems that are close to a river. We're going to have to shift them or make sure they're designed so that no wastewater can go into the, because in the past, you just would, cities dump it into the oceans and it was perfectly accepted. It's not now.
Auckland's going to have a problem, aren't they?
Everyone's going to have a problem, yeah.
But I know, and this is where also I struggle, what if your treatment of the water is better than the water that went in? I'm saying that because the dairy factory at Stirling, where the cheese gets made from the Maniototo milk, they take so many 100,000 litres of water out of the Clutha, and when they put it back in, they treat it, put it back in, clean it as it is, because they've got to use their water to show they're using water. But what if your treatment plant is good enough that it is completely grey water? Do we have is there a debate?
Well,
it looks to me that they
yeah, I don't know. I mean, that the water regulator will have to determine, but in terms of wastewater, i.e. stuff that has fecal matter in it, but even if it's been treated and is relatively, I don't know, okay-ish, you can't have any release into.
so why don't we just pump that away from Alexandria?
And, well, Stu, we'll get on this, we'll keep going on this one, will we? But we're getting well off subject.
No, I guess first question is if it runs out that funding, doesn't affect their balance sheet.
I don't know. I mean, at the moment, we can only work on the assumption that
Stays.
Yeah. Right, so we have someone move that report be accepted, please. Harris, the seconder, please. Stuart Duncan, all those in favour? Aye, against? Very, thank you. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Heaps nice. Oh. Well done. No meeting. That's right. Right, I'm too much. You'll notice in your emails, you should have a invitation to the opening of the Rail Trail Trust in Turihua. You'll have it in the email.
Oh, yeah.
I stopped off there the other day and said, what are you doing? They're putting the, it actually looks quite good. Did you see that big steel thing they've stuck beside the Idaho Dam? That's the.
And it went up last Friday.
Nothing to do with the obelisk or whatever. They're having an opening on next Monday. I stopped and asked him. Leslie just happened to be there and he told me all about it. So you got an invitation next Monday, I think at 11 o'clock.
Well, I haven't seen it in my email, but it might have gone to council. I haven't
It would have gone in your.
Yeah, the mayor's got one.
You've got one because I've got one with you, and you've got one, and you've got one, and Becky's got one. You haven't read them very well, Stu. No, it looks very good. I was actually, yeah, it was. He told me the whole thing. The guy that was here, but I can't remember exactly what it was. But, the Turihua Domain Board, the full cover is going up. The last bit of, as we speak. Quite good. It's white. I thought it would have been clear, but it's white. I thought the white would have reflected the heat instead of absorbing the heat to keep it warm, right?
I don't know.
Also up there, they're talking about the expansion of Turihua and the availability of their water, because they've only got a limited amount of water.
Busy of it though, haven't they?
Oh, well, they went from, they went from 18 ounces to 48. So they'll be getting up to the amount of water they can put down those lines. And they were talking about that just under how Three Waters would help them fund a bigger pipeline. Obviously, good luck.
Right. That white will be the
Good luck
word.
with that. Yeah, because there's a person there talking about putting a subdivision on Turi High. Another house going up.
Well, that's just about you, I know that'll fall under our water scheme now too, does it? I'm not, how do we go there legally?
Well, they told me it's their own private water scheme and no one can make them do anything.
How many people on the scheme do you think?
I think they said there's 8 houses now.
So to give you a rough overview, Barry Beaker, a former councillor in the community, put their own water scheme in, of which we had loan funding to a water scheme.
Yeah.
And since that has happened, the town south has obviously gone from 18 connections to 40 or 50. And clearly that will run out of capacity at some stage, but it was probably never designed for subdivision, and you'd have to argue those people were like a development contribution in council. If it had to be upgraded, they would be responsible for the upgrade.
Well, that's what they're talking about is why should the Turiura have to pay for all the upgrade? Because someone building, splitting up 5 sections.
Yeah.
And they haven't got water.
Yeah, and I guess they'll have their own water group left to do that. It'll be nothing to do with council because.
It will be their own water group, won't it?
Yeah.
So they have to approve a connection for land that the council subdivision to go through. So it has to be approved and they have to have evidence that they have quality and quantity on supply as part of that. So that would be for the water group.
Yeah, but at this stage, they're just going to say no.
Yeah, well, or else that person on the subdivision would have to be able to be responsible for divining and finding their own water.
Correct.
And treating it.
Which you won't get out there.
But what it is,
That's just, but they've got a private water scheme. And it's ordered to them with Maniototo.
right.
Come along and say you've got to do this, they reckon they don't have to.
They will have had more connections than 4, isn't it?
I think it's 30. Well, they're a supplier, so they'll have to meet the supply requirements and there'll be a number. I just thought 30 might be the limit. If it's below 30, then council might not be responsible. Above 30, it might be sheeted home to a district council.
Okay. It's quite a divided community.
Well, it will be
The old ones are going, no, you can't have any more water. And of course, all the newer ones have moved in and going, oh, yes, they can have water.
Yeah, it's been a real.
So it's a bit of a bugbear, but they seem to think that the Maniototo would come along and said you need to put chlorine in your water, they can say no.
No, they can't. For Motor Arawai, as the regulator, it's their ability to enforce it.
And there's longer timeframes for private water suppliers. And I think it's the intention is November 28 is the date that all water supplies will fully comply. But there's a shorter timeframe for larger supplies in council as the private suppliers.
All right, it was quite an interesting discussion. I think I'm at the right time.
Commissioner Curry.
A quick catch up with Christina about the 125th and with Stu as well. Just trying to sell tickets. Did you end up? She said there was 128 or something, 125 tickets.
So I just saw it said a moment before. I think there might have been 90 left, but they have given free tickets off to the fire brigade. They're working there just to fill a few tables, and I haven't had an update. Becky just texted me before about setting arranging for the counters. People that just keep selling tickets. So,
right. One of talking to about the roading work everywhere. A lot of edge break, particularly right round Central Target. The Ranfley to Petaroa road is particularly bad. A couple of them are starting to get out into the lane. Things like that. I sent a thing to Faye.
Yep. Thank you.
So I sent one of those to her. I kept telling the farmer down there who's moaning about it, here's the address on that email, send her an email. Take a photo. What was the other one I had was trees. The tree program around roads. Is it still ongoing? Is there money? Have they run out of money?
So we have incredibly constrained environmental maintenance budgets this year.
Yep.
To the point that even some of our spraying programs are at risk. And we'll actually be taking a report to council around some additional availability of Waka Kotahi share for council to match, which will enable us to keep going with the environmental program. But the focus will be on spraying more so than trees. Trees we're just considering on a case-by-case basis with regards to safety.
Yep. Because I spoke to you last time about them spraying them with glyphosate.
Yep.
And everywhere they sprayed it with the glyphosate, they're just taken off because the grass is dead. Is there anything in the program that says we'll go back to using, we don't call it tall on anymore, do they, what they call
I don't know, but it's gotta be done, because as soon as broom grows sevenfold a year.
Yeah.
So if the seedlings come through because they're bloody massive patchy, you're gonna have a bigger problem than you is fix it.
it? Well, it's got no competition, because there's no grass.
Call
Is
it
there
on,
anything in the council where they're looking at changing that, or is that gonna come up?
Well,
But it was right through Central.
Yeah.
Link Road round the back there, that's,
Yeah.
if you've driven down there, I mean, that was sprayed, well, I mean, a couple of years ago, and everything was dead. Unfortunately, the grass was dead as well, and there's more broom now than grass. Yeah.
look, I can just look at what sprays we're using and what we're looking at going forward, but I'll link in with the contractor and the team and.
Well, it just seems that we're spraying it, it's killing it. We're gonna go back a year later and spend the same amount of money, whereas if you sprayed with a different spray, you mightn't go back for 5 years.
Yeah, it's just
Top it up.
managing the environmental effects of different things around different sprays and different things like that, but yeah, no, something we'll absolutely.
adding to that, I was with Paul the other day in Gore. There was talk way back that some of that land on Farmers Boundary, now I know Graham Gale's $428 a hectare with a helicopter, including chemical. So there may well be lots of the Blink Road through to Naseby, where actually there's a whole track of scrub that the chopper use a helicopter and fly roadside. And that would be far more effective. A hectare is a long way in a helicopter when the boom is 10 metres wide. For cost efficiency.
Yeah.
Met kill
Okay.
it? Does met kill it?
I don't know, but taught on more.
Yeah,
Well, they don't call it Tordon anymore. What do they call it?
Well, you still buy taught on brush killer now.
Okay. Well,
It'll be used in most other forestry and towns, everything you go, but it's got to be fit for purpose, or else you might as well let the broom.
forestry don't use Tordon.
Hey?
Forestry don't use Tordon.
Although we have a product that will do.
Roundup. Now they've got the same problem with kill the broom and all the grass is there. Now the broom's growing like mad through the forest. What's me, sorry, I ran into some guys up behind the bloody Huboon Dam, round the corner there into Ben Hall's there, looking for wallaby. Someone had seen a wallaby. They're up there, I says, good luck. About 40 degrees, they're walking through tussocks up to their necks. Good luck. The wallabies. And that's me. Move that report be accepted.
I'll do that.
Second, all those in favour? Aye. Against? Very thank you. Mark,
I haven't got too much. Someone was just inquiring why the old toilets couldn't have been left open until after this weekend.
yeah, I talked to Janice about that and,
No,
it just been done. It was just more of an oversight that had been shut earlier. It's more of a problem. But they're not, it's not a long way to the new toilets from down there. It's 95 metres, I think. Yeah, and I spoke to her about it. It was just an oversight. I think it could have been kept open for another 2 weeks, but
yeah. No, it's about all. We've mentioned the grading, so there's probably not much point going on
you
there.
can keep going about grading if you like.
Nothing changed. It's not.
Oh, we've got a couple.
Getting your head against a brick wall.
Are they getting a couple of new pits out of Charlie Horse?
I don't know if they're 2 new pits, but they're quite happy with the gravel that's come out of Charlie's.
Yeah, so we've done test strips out of Aitken's and Charlie's pit, and they've gone down and they are performing well, but they will stay and we'll keep monitoring them through rainy periods as well as winter to see how it performs through winter, because you can have material that performs great in summer and then perhaps an issue before we put it down on large strips. So that will be going down next season early, providing the winter performance is good. But there'll be some consenting as part of that. So we've taken some test strips under what we can take through the district plan in terms of construction, and then we'll be working through consenting to ensure we can take.
So where are they getting it from? Not getting it from behind the powerhouse now?
Yeah.
From behind it or beside it?
Behind, I thought I haven't been that, but behind, I assume.
Well, behind it, they just got into schist in here and they stopped using it because there wasn't enough left there.
Yeah, I couldn't actually.
I know that big bank was beside it, because sometimes you know.
I didn't go and look at that. We went up to look at one in Aikens, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Charlie's one is sort of this side of the power station.
Oh,
Isn't
it isn't there.
I think.
When they said, I saw something up there digging one day.
it? Yeah. Well, it's got to be this side of the power station because
There's
The
nothing,
other side's macadamias,
it's only rocks.
yeah,
Rocks. Yeah.
and that's, the other side of the river's macadamias is.
And getting some metal down is going to obviously help with the grading piece. And I've sent some information around just to give a bit of an explanation, but we are struggling. It's very dry where Falkenhagen's, they typically would go through a set of tips in a week. It's 2 to 3 sets in a week, and it's the wind and everything's not helping. It's sort of blowing all the fines off and you got cobbling. So it's a bit of a battle, but we're getting back in there and around these test strips of metal and proving that will allow us to actually remetal these roads and hopefully have some good performance for a number of years. And then we'll look to the Ina Valley following that. But there's some, yeah, I sent out an email with some information around the challenges. So feel free to come back to me if there's questions.
Where's Aikens? Just not over the old one.
Just,
And that's the old one.
There's the old one. Yeah.
That's, but there's a corner back this side they've gone into. It looked quite good, but it was getting it down, but it was all the other, they may put a 50 mil over top of Aiken stuff too, that they graded and running surface, so they're trying different options. Which is good, and to be fair, the noise has gone away too. Coming back to us, or definitely myself and Tracy, from some of the ratepayers up there.
And we try and establish in certain areas for efficiency. So this is us establishing here, and we'll be working here for providing this test up well. And these test strips go well, we'll be establishing here to do quite a significant run through that six area with that material. Yeah, so that's going to be the real focus for the next couple of 3 years.
Well, that's about me, I think.
Duncan?
yeah, well, very much either, but it's, I mean, town's looking pretty tidy for this weekend. Room's been discussed. And just good to see they're getting this canyon there fixed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this was, yeah, sorry, keep going.
That's all I've got.
So did the contractor have to come back and fix them at their own cost, or?
It's, for any development, there's a 12-month defect period. So if anything happens in that 12-month period, the contractor and developer is responsible for remedying that. And that's for all developments.
Yep. It just, it didn't last very long. I was talking about another time is when they do it, do they take a photo of what they've done or anything like that? Does someone come out and go, it's not good enough?
Where we can, we try and send someone out, but obviously in all the sites around Central, we can't get everywhere, but every development has an engineer to contract on the development side, and they're responsible for all the quality assurance. So it does fall back on them if it's not been done correctly, but we expect documentation and testing and everything like that to prove that it's
So they didn't do any out here.
I have
3 months is, because the guy, there's an outfit more to do the plumbing, drain lines, are they? You see them around? And they come and do them around here, and you can never fault their work. Nothing ever sinks, but you know, they obviously know what a hand compactor is. And it's just this one will last you like 3 months. Blowing. So like for this contractor is doing it, do you put a cross beside his name and say, well, hang on, he hasn't done it properly, do we have to come and check it, or?
Oh, look, there's an element of that with everything in terms of good evidence base of working with people over the years and different things like that. But there's still a requirement for testing and everything like that. And
it's like roading when you do your STMS. You ever get a cross beside your name when you do something wrong and you put the signs out, they used to come back the next time and check you. Anything happens, whereas out here, it's quite a big hole. I mean, it's not a 5-minute drive. It's all fixed up. That's all.
it's been fixed.
Yep, no, look, good. I'll be happy.
And it's the same guys doing it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you, Duncan. You.
Right, we'll start with the big ticket item to start. We've had as Tim's probably talked about on the radio, we're going to face a major rate increase in the next term or two, with Three Waters coming back in cost, and hopefully we'll get across the line with our roading budgets and bridges and surfaces, and there's more money going to put in the long-term plan. But without getting too smug, we're probably looking at a 20 to 25% rate increase in the next term.
Is that in the next year or in the whole of the 3-year term?
No, that'll be in the first year.
Yep.
It's still to be confirmed on where it lands, but in the first year of the LGP, we would anticipate a rate somewhere in the 20%.
So I guess for elected members, and it's going to be pretty tense up in Alexandra because we'll be facing in front, but our own guys in this room, we think you're getting grief now about your roads and everything else. We'll probably continue to do that. But in saying that, everyone's working very hard and the staff are too, are trying to work out where we can cut costs. But end of the day, our job is to take the rate and to divide it about the work and see how we go. But definitely put in for 3% maybe increase on the roading so we can get surfaces and we can get stuff done because it's, our bridges and that, as we know, need done. Went to the regional roading meeting in Gore. That was a really good meeting this year for some reason. Normally they're very boring, but it was really good. But you don't get Wakatahi funding unless you sort of owe that $2 million projects. And when we all sat around from Waitaki to Southland to Gore to Invercargill and all the councils, Queenstown Lakes, we've all got major bridges. And we started adding them up, we're into 80s and $100 million. Now we've all got 4 or 5 here and 4 or 5 there. So we're not different than anyone else. And what's the name, James Cahill was there from NZTA, and yeah, they realise we've got our problems. So that's something where the funding comes out of this new government round for some of that infrastructure. Whether we do or not, I don't know. But one thing we've probably been guilty of is not putting enough on our plan for NZTA, so having ready projects ready to go if they do have rounds of funding. And that was a wee bit of a problem with Cyclone, is that they couldn't get started straight away. The money had been budgeted for that. So we've got a few projects in there now. The guys worked pretty hard. We just approved the budget for the Wakatahi funding just at council yesterday. So that's good. But the big ticket items they have, and they talked about pinch points on the grid, and really their biggest concern is in Homer Tunnel. And a lot of their funding is going into Homer Tunnel, but there's actually no funding from NZTA Wakatahi coming south of Ashburton. So when you think about how we're going to really the major events, and one of the pinch points is really a big concern is a bridge at North Otago going into Oamaru under the railway line, because if a truck hits that and takes it out, you talk about resilience, you just don't get north or south. And one of the other major concerns I've got, and I've been asked many times, is New Zealand Rail or Kiwi Rail to be at our meetings, because obviously rail and transport, we're a transport organisation. And unbeknown to me, well, I didn't know it was quite a busy, but when the milk powders come in between Milton, Dunedin and Matara, that is the second busiest rail network in the country, but it's on, the signals are still the switchboard signals, the technology's not there. So there's been a bit of a push to get New Zealand Rail, Kiwi Rail to come to our meetings, because inland ports or just rail traffic and all about movement. So it was quite a good meeting, but really we're not getting a lot of funding from the big projects, and Te Anau with the tourists and the traffic points in the Homer Tunnel seem to be in their big priorities. But it was a good discussion. Speed limits, we just went out for consultation yesterday on more speed limits, and the government came out at 4 o'clock, so they're going to abolish some of the work that's been done by the other group. So how that won't make any difference to us, so will it? We'll just consult anyway.
No, so schools are still intended.
Yeah, well, that's what I said.
Around schools, and all of our local road changes,
Local
road,
yeah.
and safety related.
Yeah. So I got no sooner got home, I got ringing from the media to comment on it. I didn't even know it had happened, but they told me what happened. So that's the hard part, I guess, for us as councillors as well and staff, is Three Waters has changed, and we don't know the dynamic of it. The road things change, and then people just think all the roads are set by doing that. The 125th year, I hope it's a lot of work for new volunteers to get it going. It's a pretty big event. There's a lot going on from tomorrow night all the way through to Sunday. But it's good to see a new group of volunteers, and hopefully they can sell a few more tickets, and hopefully wear the holes, because there's been a lot of work by them. And like I say, town's looking good. They've been sprucing up, and even heard the radio the other day talking about how great it was to have all the gardens done and the paintbrushes out, and it's good to have a spruce up for like that. Yeah, the toilets has come up to me a few times, and we talked about that yesterday, the pressure on staff. Even my wife been getting texts one the other day at about 6 in the morning to say what a waste the council was shut down a perfectly good toilet, and why to do this, it's da-da-da. I don't know if it's advertising or the marketing or selling of it, but it is what it is now. We had a pretty firm discussion after Barry Becker's funeral in the end about where the toilets go. But it's, you know, when you think about the buses and the rail trail and all that, they're pretty cool looking toilets. I haven't been in them. But the locals just got pretty used to being where they used to be. So, but it'll pass like everything else.
Don't know how they got the Balmoral cooling juices on there.
Yeah, well,
Who made that decision? That wasn't at the meeting.
that would have been Gary.
Well, that wouldn't have been agreed on.
So that's pretty much it. And it's our last one, our last meeting here for the year. So I wish all the staff and everyone else a very Merry Christmas and welcome Peter to his first year. Hope you enjoy the bit and we'll catch up in the new year, I suppose. And have everyone have a very festive time. Got one more council meeting on the 14th, didn't we? 13th. Two.
One,
Oh.
so 13, a workshop.
The workshop. That's pretty much me, other than if anyone can find a black bull walking around on my road with their friends looking for a bull, I'm minus the bull.
I was at the Maori bloody funeral this morning.
He wasn't
They
here.
had something on the spit. That was going around and
Well, they'd take him at a skinning because he's a big bull. But it's quite interesting to not just, you know, to think that maybe it has been stolen. You got to get the police and you ring your local constable to go and I've lost the black bull in a yards and on Maru somewhere. And he goes, well, I'll go start looking through the lost and found and animals, and rustling is actually a real thing, but he's actually technically has to be pulled out on the truck, put on the truck and driven away. So funny. But that's me.
Right, can I have someone move those reports, please?
Oh.
Duncan, seconder, please. Mark Harris, all those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Very, thank you. Governance report. Everyone read it?
Yep.
Any comments on it? What you read? I'll learn to stop doing that, don't I? So if someone move that report, please. Mark Harris. Seconder Duncan Howell. Those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried, thank you. Right, the date of the next meeting will be the 25th of January. Thank everyone for their attendance today. Also, I'd like to wish everyone Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. Thank all the staff that have turned up for all our meetings over the years, for keeping us on the straight and narrow in some places and giving us all the information we need. Sarah, excellent job. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Welcome, Peter, as Stu said. First year so far. Hope you enjoy your time. While you're here for your term. Quentin, QP, thank you very much for turning up, putting up with us. We're not that bad, I don't think.
No, he likes us.
Does it? That's good. And like I said, thank you very much. We'll see you next year.
You'll find this will be the one social